So what I'm going to do is there's a whole panel that was called Life in First Person, but it's 52 minutes long approximately. And there are multiple things. There's too much to break down and comprehend there's just so much information in an hour. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to watch little pieces of it and really try to sink all that information in. And the first one I want to talk about is not the first part that they talked about, but I think it's the coolest and most important. And it was the new player interaction, right? Interactions are everything in this game. It's what makes Star Citizen Star Citizen. So let's start out with that. And this panel was probably outside of the obvious one, which is the base building. This was the highlight of the day.
Why are we showing that? Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Inês, and I'm a gameplay programmer here at CIG. And I'm here today to tell you all about...
No Tony panel this year.
Thank you.
No.
And I'm here today to tell you all about the features we've been working on to improve the player interaction experience with the physical objects in the world. So let me start by telling you what we've made to make it easy for you to identify and interact with these objects in the world. We have introduced in the new interaction prompts, which are AR cards that appear over the objects as the player gets near them.
Okay.
These, combining with scanning, will help the player to easily identify the interactable objects in the scene. So we have improved the algorithm that our interaction system uses to determine the current item in focus. So you'll have a smarter detection and selection as you move around and look around the scene. So the prompts will show you the active interaction and the key bind that you can use to quickly trigger it, like you see on the pictures. So we are trying to minimize the friction of the player to interacting with these objects. You no longer have to go into interaction mode to bring up the cursor, then drag it over.
Thank you, Scorpion.
And to select using the inner thoughts. So we're removing that.
Yeah, remove inner thoughts, right? So the moment they said that, they should have just stopped the show and just been like, remove inner thought, get rid of it. It is trash. Thank you. Goodbye.
So what happens if an object has more than one interaction? Well, for that, you can just simply hold F, and this will bring you the new interaction wheel. So this is our new interaction wheel. It will be focusing on the item. And you can see that up to 2 of the interactions have a star icon. So this is related to another system that you are bringing to you that we call in the default item actions. So this allows us to have a primary interaction, that's the one that shows on the prompt, and a secondary interaction. So these are default actions that you can easily trigger using shortcuts.
Like E and
so
F.
These actions will change based on the combination of the item, the player, and the environment state. And although designers do choose the default actions that we bring to you, you are fully able to customize them to fit your preferences and playing style. So let's take a look at this in action.
Or yeah, press or hold, something like that, right?
Here you can see the prompts that change depending on your focus. So let's bring up the wheel. And I really like my plushes, so I want to inspect them when I find them around. So I'm changing that to my primary. And you'll see that does not affect only the item they're interacting with, but any item that falls into the same category. Go next. Okay. So I've shown you some features that improve. Thank you.
That was cool.
So I've shown you features that improve the readability and easiness of interacting with the objects in the world. But the other part of our focus was to bridge the disconnection between the player and the object you are interacting with. In a fully physicalized world that we want to provide you, a tactile experience is very important to sell the experience. So we've introduced a new system that allows us to play animations on the player of actually reaching out and physically touch the objects in the world. Yeah. So our main goal was to give you
I never thought I cared until they showed the demo of this.
A better immersion, but at the same time, minimizing the friction and the control we take away from you. So this really was an exercise between code, design, and animation to give you the best experience possible. Let's see some of this in action. And you know, pressing buttons has never been so satisfying and fun.
The panel POV, true.
And you know, I just kind of like to go.
Right? It's simple, but it works. Here it comes, though. Get ready. But it was like a boop.
And okay, so let's continue with this theme of tactile experiences. The next thing I want to talk to you about are usable interactables. So usables are objects that have existed in our game for a very long time. And you know, designers have had a variety of tools to build these really interesting and complex sequences for the AI. But up until now, what we could do for the player was very limited. So this past year, we've been building up our tools that provided for designers that designers could build these really interactive experiences but for the player. And the advantage of using the usable system is that anything that the player will be able to do, the AI will also be able to do. So let's have a look of a simple demo that one of our designers put together to see what we can now achieve. So in this scenario, the player has to go forward but can't go forward because of the toxic water. So he has to go over to the valve to turn off the water. So before, we could maybe play a simple animation when you interacted, but now designers can give full manual control to you. So you, by pressing the specific inputs, you will be driving the system. So, but this is not enough. We needed to...
Right, and then it turns on the other one. Just, I don't know. It's so simple, but it's just so much more than we have now.
Be able to give designers a way to translate what
Think
the
about how
player
simple
is
the puzzles
currently
we
doing
have and how crazy they can
other
get.
objects in the world in specific
Right?
ways. So this is what is happening here. As the player is turning the valve, is controlling the flow of the water that's coming from the pipes. And what should happen when the player is no longer in control? Do we want to keep the state, revert back to the initial one, or maybe trigger something else altogether? Well, it's up to designers to define the type of experience they want to bring to you. So let's finally turn off that valve.
And then you got to run.
Rush over before that broken valve starts turning off, and then see another small example. Oh, let's go. So yeah, you'll see another small example where you won't be able to open the door by a press of a button, but you have to manually interact with that pump and manually open it. So you'll have to time your inputs to slowly open the door. So this is just a small taste of the level of interactivity that we can now have with these objects. We had really nice results for Squadron, for the mess hall line. And you know, I can't wait to see what the PU designers will create and bring up to your...
Oh, but Bort, let me make a suggestion. For the ones you posted on YouTube, do us all a favor. Turn off the annotation thing at the end with like the subscribe stuff, because it's covering like important information with the video still playing. Yeah, I turned it off myself, but you might want to turn it off for everybody who doesn't know about it.
Hands.
But by then they watched the whole video anyway, so who cares? But yeah. But thank you for doing that. It's made watching everything so much easier.
Let's quickly talk about kiosks and terminals. And let's be honest, it's really hard to interact and get a good view of these ones. So we made a small little changes to make it easier for you. We've created a new focus mode that will walk the player to perfectly align with the kiosk.
This was great too.
So we can better perfectly frame the screen on the viewport. At this point, the interactive screen will steal the input focus until you actively chooses to leave.
Much simpler, smaller, but important. Yeah, catch up soon. Board, be good, buddy.
And look at that when you trigger it. And like,
so much to catch up on.
Yeah, so this is a very small quality of life improvement, but it will make it much easier for you to interact with this kiosk.
Minor, but great.
And you know, finally, let's talk about looting. This is our new looting screen. It's not replacing the inventory, but it will be used when you're looting a body or any other lootable that you find in the world.
I get to go on a rant now. I get to rant. And because I couldn't pause during actual CitizenCon, I get to rant. Have you noticed that they finally recognized how fucking stupid the third-person inventory is? You know? Have they finally realized that it was so stupid? And honestly, you know, I go to loot somebody and all I see is the inside of a wall. They finally realized it. They went simple. They went functional. They went clean. Now, how do you loot the gear? I do believe it will turn into the third-person inventory from that point. So this is like your quick looting. Okay? For the things that you need, this is what they're doing. Now, I don't see anything on the screen currently, and we need to have an eagle eye and try and catch if there's an option for that. But yeah, there's a reason that every FPS game does it this way. There's also, it's also unfair for the third-person inventory and the fact that you can move your camera around while looting, which is not something you would normally get to do. You need to be in the view of the character at the time of looting for it to be, I think, appropriately fair and all that stuff. So this is the right way of doing it. This is what I called out the moment I saw that on the first ISC, how bad that was, and they finally came around and finally decided to do it in the right way. I would like to see armor here as well, but how do you fit all that? So let's look out for that. Now, we do have the inventory box there, but again, no armor. So let's try and be an eagle-eyed and see if we can see that option somewhere.
Specifically designed to improve this experience. So since looting
better
is a
late than
common
never.
action
I
during
will take it.
FPS combat, we, especially if you haven't fully prepared ahead, we wanted to make it as easier and quick as possible, so you could spend the minimum amount of time to grab any items you need from your target. So it displays the current loadout and a simplified version of the inventory.
Okay, I see a lot of no loot all button. You don't need a loot all button if your system isn't as clunky as the current. You may need it, kind of, and maybe the option of loot all is in the inventory section, because you definitely need it for inventory to inventory, but the minimal magazines, click, 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 is fine, I think, and it should take time. But yeah, there's the potential, and I think Jude's calling it out, is the arrows. So we'll see if they ever go over the arrows and if anything pops up. So let's just be eagle-eyed here, okay? Let's not criticize just an image on the screen.
While the inventory is there, so you can fully manage your loadout. So we're still actively working on it, and this is especially on the UI and art, but I want to give you a little sneak peek how this all works.
Let's see how it plays.
Okay, let's go over to
just F.
So you see the player loadout is on items are on the bottom, the target is on the top. You can if you hover the different widgets, you'll see a tooltip that with the different quick actions you can do. You can just simple press.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it'll be.
I think I need to be on the right side. I don't know where to be for this one. This one's going to be a little harder to be in the right place, but I'm going to scroll back just a tiny bit on the video.
You can just simple press widgets. You'll see a tooltip that with the different quick actions you can do. You can just simple press.
So you could just take the item from there to there with a click. No pressing J, no 15 clicks to do all this stuff. So much better.
Yeah, it'll be so much easier. So yeah, you can quickly press to just equip or swap. You can even use your mouse wheel if you want to change the target. You can drop anything, store anything, just really quick actions. And you'll see in a minute that we also can trigger ammo repooling. So this will grab all available ammo, either from your target or from your inventory, and will fill up the magazines in your loadout and get rid of any empty magazines.
Also, did you guys see that? Ammo refill. We'll go back and look at that one real quick. Look right here.
Magazines
it was
in your
very
loadout.
subtle.
And
Left Alt R, combine all ammo.
got rid of any empty magazines. So yeah, looking really good.
I believe that that is actually too simple. I'm not going to lie. I like the Tarkov reloading, personally. I'm going to say it. At least the timer.
Yeah, so it's looking really good, and I can't wait to see the final art. So that's all from me. So thank you so much for listening, and I hope you have a great time.
Yo, that was, I think, the single best little gameplay panel that you can expect to see at some point soon, like something that can get in your hands. Like, all hail Inez. That was so good. That was so good. I just, how can you not, like, quality of life spread all over that thing. And yeah, there was nothing to see about a move all. I think that was the missing piece there, and maybe those arrows will bring that up, but I did see the mouse go over it and nothing popped up. But again, it's not a finished system yet. They're just showing it in the place where they're at, and they're comfortable showing it to us. I loved everything I saw. And then there was like that one clear omission and nowhere to see the armor as well. So maybe there'll be a second page. Who knows? So love where they're at now. Can't wait to see where they're going. That was awesome. Holy, just give me that. If you give me that in Q4 or Q1 this year, Q1 next year, that'll make just playing the game a lot easier, and waiting for the further away stuff a lot easier, I think. But yeah, that was really awesome. So holy, that was my biggest win, I think, from the convention on both days, honestly.